This story is called The Racing Worm Brothers by Gary Barwin, who is actually a local author from Hamilton. A goldfish was the only pet that Aaron was allowed. Any other pet would sneeze and break out in bumps because Aaron was allergic. Aaron put his hand in the fish tank. "Stop," his brother Ryan said. "You can't pet a goldfish." "But I want a pet that I can touch." "Then let's get some worms," Ryan said. "Worms love being patted." Ryan found a long and skinny worm at the back of the yard. Aaron found a short, fat one near the fence. "My worm is called Pinky," Ryan said. "Mine's called Worm," Aaron said, "and he likes to be patted." Ryan said, "I think our worms are brothers." Aaron said, "Our worm brothers look tired." The boys held their worms close and sang a worm song. "Look at our sweet little worms," Ryan whispered. "They've gone to sleep." The brothers tucked the worms into tissue paper beds for a nap. After a few minutes, Aaron said, "Time to wake up, Worm." And Ryan said, "Wakey, wakey, Pinky Winky." They put the worms on the swings for a ride. Pinky liked swinging high and fast, but Worm got scared and wanted to get off. "Let's take him for a ride on my tricycle," Aaron said. "Worm wants to look around, and he likes the wind blowing through his hair." "Worms don't have hair," Ryan said. "Worm has hair. He just had a haircut, and it's very short. And he likes me to brush it," Aaron said, "with my toothbrush." Ryan explained to Pinky about reading. Worm had never been to school, but Aaron told him, "Don't be afraid, brave little worm," and showed him how to count to 10. Then Ryan suggested that they have a worm race. He drew a starting line near the swings. The finish line was that stop sign at the very end of the street. When the worms were ready, Ryan shouted, "Go!" and the worm race began. They ran to the end of the street to wait for the worms. Ryan said, "Pinky is the world's fastest worm. Your worm is slow as spaghetti." "My worm is going to win," Aaron said. "Go, Worm!" he shouted. They waited for a long time at the finish line, but the worms didn't come. They ran back along the race course looking for their worms. "Worms!" Aaron called. "Where are you?" "Here, Pinky! Here, Worm!" Ryan called, but they couldn't find their worms anywhere. "I know," Ryan said. "They've gone into the dirt. They have their own world underground. Worms like to race underground," Aaron said. "They're going to crawl under everyone's yard until they get to the finish line," Ryan said. "How will they know where to go?" "We'll draw them a map." The worm map was filled with squiggly lines showing the worms how to dig through the neighborhood. There were squares showing each backyard and each house. Other important things were marked on the map: Ryan and Aaron's playhouse, Jamie and Meg's sandbox, Kira's climbing tree. The boys put the map near the fence. "They'll come up at night to see the map," Ryan explained. It was Aaron's idea to make places for the worms to rest along the way. He made more tissue paper beds and put them into old yogurt containers, which he left at different places along the race course. At supper, Ryan said, "Pinky will be the first to wiggle out of our yard." "No, Worm already crawled under the fence," Aaron said. He took one look at the map and started squiggling like crazy. The next morning, the boys moved the map to Jamie and Meg's yard. Each day for the rest of the summer, the boys put their ears to the ground listening for the worms. "I can hear Worm," Aaron said. "He's winning." "Pinky hasn't been trying," Ryan said. "He's going to start really racing in a minute." And each morning, the boys moved the map. One day, it was beside Kira's climbing tree. The next day, it was in Mrs. Ellert's Flower garden. During the day, the boys drew sidewalk chalk pictures of the world's longest worm. They pretended there were worms in their spaghetti. They lay down in the grass and told stories to their worms underground. Ryan and Aaron even did a worm dance, stomping on the grass to get the worms to come up. But still, by the end of the summer, there was no sign of Worm and Pinky. It was raining on the first day of school. There were puddles everywhere. Ryan and Aaron did one more worm dance, but there was still no sign of them. The boys walked down the street toward the school, past Jamie and Meg's, past Kira's, past Mrs. Ellert's, and past Mrs. Johnson's big black dog barking through the fence. They were standing at the stop sign waiting for a car to drive by when Aaron noticed something pink on the edge of the sidewalk. "Worm!" Aaron shouted, picking up a short, fat worm. "You came back!" "Pinky!" Ryan yelled, picking up a long, skinny worm. "You finished the race!" The Worm brothers wouldn't tell which one had finished the race first. "Pinky isn't braggy," Ryan said. "No, Worm doesn't want Pinky to feel bad," said Aaron, walking into the schoolyard. There were 500 children on the first day of school. Some brought pencils, some brought balls, some brought snacks in their backpacks. Only 2 brought pets in their pockets, and it seemed to Ryan and Aaron that the worms liked the teachers. Better than the teachers liked their worms.